Now, and we are on YouTube Live at this time. And I'm sorry for folks out there watching on YouTube Live, we're still trying to get a little organized here. And so I believe we're ready to go ahead and start our adoption day. And so good morning and welcome. My name is Carlos Villalon Jr., and I am the Associate Judge for the Child Protection Court of the Rio Grande Valley West. I have the honor and privilege of presiding over almost all of the cases filed by Child Protective Services in both Hidalgo and Starr counties. Those cases come to me by way of referral from our district and county court judges. And I'm under the appointment and authority of our regional presiding judge, Ms. Maderi. As you can imagine, every day we hear the tragic circumstances that bring our foster children into care and the struggles of the families trying to find a way to be reunited. In many cases, families are reunited. Children go home or go with relatives. But there are children that do not have these options. And for them, the wait to go to a forever home can seem like an eternity. Today is Adoption Day in Hidalgo County, and a wonderful day for two of our children and their families. In fact, November is National Adoption Month. Now, we don't wait all year long to have adoptions in November. Usually we hear adoptions about once a month. And when we hear them, it's an awesome and joyous event with a few tears. But today's proceedings are going to be a little different. Actually going to be a little bigger. Today we are joined not only by the friends and families of those who are adopting, but by a number of child welfare community stakeholders, including the Department of Family and Protective Services, GASA of Hidalgo County, our child placing agencies, our partners at UTRGV, the Hidalgo County District Attorney's Office, a number of our attorneys from our local bar, members of the local media, and many, many others who play a hand in helping these families. Today is different because not only will we be able to finalize cases for two of our families, but we have an opportunity to help children who are waiting for their forever home by promoting awareness and getting the word out to the public about adoption. And of course, the most obvious difference is what you're seeing today. We're holding this event remotely. We're not in the courtroom today. The pandemic has disrupted everyone's lives in one way or another. Some of us have lost loved ones to the virus. All of us have had to be socially distancing from our families and friends. 8 months away from our families, and it seems like an eternity. Now put yourself in the shoes of our children who are waiting to go to a forever home. Children who desire the security of knowing that they will never have to move again and lose loved ones. They will never have to change schools again on a moment's notice and lose all of their friends. Children who just want to have that permanent person or figure in their lives who they can trust and who will love them unconditionally. Think of it in this way. Christmas is 32 days away, and your birthday may be 364 days away if it was yesterday. Do you remember how long it took as a child to get to that point? Imagine waiting 2 years, 6 years, or even longer for that wish, with the worries I mentioned on their minds each and every day. Well, today, I am excited and thrilled to say that the wait is over for two of our children and their adoptive families. But before we get there, we are very fortunate to have some special guests here with us today. One who will provide you with some statistics and information on how to adopt. A guest who will discuss the urgent need for adoption of children with special needs and our older children. And two wonderful adoptive parents who will share their very own experiences. And of course, we have our adoptions. So we're going to go ahead and go to our speakers. And at this time, I'm going to go introduce our first speaker, which would be Mr. John Lennan, who is the media specialist with the Department of Family and Protective Services. And he will be sharing some statistics and information on adoption. Mr. Lennan, are you on? All right, you can go ahead and take it off of mute. There we go. And the floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Judge, and all the participants. I was looking down at the counter and there's 83 people alone logged into this hearing, and that's just wonderful that so many people are here today to celebrate the birth of these new families. And I think it comes at an awesome time of year because we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving, which is a very big family event. And then right around the corner, we've got Christmas. And what a better way to remember, when did you get your forever family? I got it on Thanksgiving. And that's just a wonderful thing to always remember that holiday by, because it is such a family event. And I was so happy that the judge was going to give me a small window of opportunity to chat real quick about what is adoption, because when we were planning everything, people were asking, well, what about this? What about that? I heard it work like this. I heard it work like that. And a lot of questions came up, and someone says, hey, we need to have like a real brief tutorial on what is adoption, how does it work, and where do we stand here in the Rio Grande Valley? So if technology permits me, I'm going to go to a full screen. And because I can't see myself, are we able to see a screen?
Let's see here. So the share screen function is on, and you should be able to.
There we go.
There we go.
Are you able to see a full screen? Great. First thing, people always want to know, where are we at? So what I did was I pulled some really quick statistics, and right now in the Rio Grande Valley, we have 49 children from Cameron, 31 from Hidalgo, 1 from Star, and 6 from Willacy that are seeking their forever home.
John,
And
I don't mean to just interrupt you, but does anybody share the screen that can anybody see the screen that he's sharing at this time? No, they're not able to see it. What I'm going to do for you, John, is I'm going to go ahead and pull this up myself.
okay.
And share that screen for you. So I do have your PowerPoint. Let me just go ahead and go to that real quick. It'll only take me a second to get there.
Sure.
And for some reason, we're having some technical difficulties, but that's okay.
Well, you know, I used to work in TV, and this was and then if any of our TV journalists are out there, this is the fun of live TV. You know, it's one of those things, you roll with the punches and you make it work. While the judge is working to get that PowerPoint up, I'll just go ahead and I'll just keep on going. That we have 231 children just in South Texas alone, and we have just under 3,000 children statewide that we're looking to achieve permanency so that they can have their very own adoption day as well. And I was talking to some folks this morning, and they said, well, that just sounds really sad that there's that many children. And I said, but there's also the other side of the coin. I said, last year in Cameron County, 22 children were able, there we go. 22 children were able to find permanency, 28 in Hidalgo, 1 child in Star. Statewide, we had over 5,000 children that were able to find permanency in the state of Texas. And if you think about it, 5,000 children, if you drive around Texas, that's greater than the population of some of the small towns that we drive through, isn't it? Can you change to the next slide?
I'm going to give it a try.
The wonders of live TV, right?
Let's see if I can get it to go here. I've got several things going on. Hopefully it has crashed on us. I apologize.
That's okay. I was prepared. I have a script ready to go. And somebody also asked, what are some of the basic requirements? You got to be 21 years of age. You can be married or single. That's a myth right there. Some people think that you have to be married to adopt, and that's not true. And there's no age cap on, well, I'm too old to adopt. Nope, there's no age cap on that. We ask that you attend an information meeting, and we're hosting those online now because of COVID. So it's just like we're doing now. You would log into a website and you'd be able to talk to one of our FAD staff, which is our foster adoption development staff. We'd ask that everybody in the home work through a home study. And what that is we just want to make sure that we know everything about your family so we can help match you with the perfect child. Because whenever the judge creates a family in the courtroom like this, it's forever. I always hear judges say, you know, okay, mom and dad, you understand that this is, when we hit the gavel, it's going to be the same thing as if you gave birth to this child, you know, there's going to be no difference. So we always want to make sure that we have that perfect match that's made. We provide the training because we want to help set you up for success. We want you to be successful as parents. And sometimes working with children that are coming into care and that have been in care, they may have some special needs or some special attentions, and we just want to help prepare you for that. The other thing that we do too is people ask about, well, I don't know if I can afford to adopt. Can I really afford to do that? And the answer is yes, you can, because if the child's health insurance is a question, that's something that the state can keep the child on the health insurance. We can also work with you for some one-time expenses if that's the case for being adopted. The state of Texas does not charge any fees for adoption at all, because one of the big myths that we hear is, oh, I knew someone that did an overseas adoption or they did a private adoption. And yes, those do cost a lot of money, but from the state of Texas, they're virtually free. I understand that there is a small cost for the fire department to do a home inspection for fire safety, and some fire departments do it for free. There's a small fee for the fingerprint check, and there's also a reimbursement if you have to hire an attorney. There's a small fee that goes that way. But one of the big things that I always love to talk about, if you adopt a child from the state of Texas, did you know that that child, if they qualify to go to a state of Texas college or university, that they can go tuition free? And I know anybody who's ever gone to college, and when they hear that, they always get this look on their face. So they're like, what, tuition free? And they have flashbacks to how much it costs them to go to college, or I'm still making payments on my student loans. So that is just a huge thing that the state of Texas does for its children, is that they want to make sure that these children have that college education. And sometimes when parents adopt teenagers or kids that are preteen, they say, well, I haven't had a chance to start a college fund for these children. Guess what? The state of Texas has got you covered. They're going to take care of that. They're going to see that these children have that door open to them to go to a college or a university in Texas, tuition free. So the next question is, you're like, how do I find out more about this? Well, in Texas, we have had to adapt what we do because of COVID. We've had to adapt to going to online meetings, meaning that a meeting just like we're doing right now with Zoom, you would meet with one of our FAD workers, and they would do a little more in-depth explanation of what is the foster and adopt process. And from there, if you would like the idea, they're going to help get you started, whether it's with us as an agency or with one of our child placing agencies to get licensed to become a foster to adopt parent. And if not, we always say, thank you for joining us and learning a little bit more. Spread the word about what you heard. You know, if you ever hear anybody talking about, oh, I hear it's expensive, or, oh, I hear this, I hear that, you've actually heard the truth, and you can help share that. Because we're virtual, you can log on to adoptchildren.org, which is the state website for adoption. And under our information meetings, you can see where we have info meetings going on all over the state. And because we're doing them virtually now, you don't have to log on just to the Cameron one or the Hidalgo one. If the time and the day of the week is more convenient for you, you can log on to one of those meetings and they can help you get started. But we host 2 from Cameron County, and we host 2 in Hidalgo County every month. And we do one in the mid-morning and one in the evening. And this way we want to try to accommodate everybody's schedule. And lastly, if you don't have a computer and you can't do any of that, that's okay. You can call us at 1-800-233-3405. And that's our phone number to our state office, where you can talk to one of our state office reps, and they can explain to you more in depth about the foster and adopt process. Judge?
John, thank you so much for presenting us that information. I'm sorry that the PowerPoint did not work for us, but what I'm going to do for our viewers out there is I do have a copy of the PowerPoint, and I will put it on our Facebook court page so that everybody can get that information, and it'll be available to the public there. And of course, we can't thank the department enough for trying to facilitate these adoptions for these kiddos. We want all children who are eligible for for adoption to go to a forever home. And so if anybody's interested out there, that information will be posted on our webpage for your review. So John, thank you again for taking the time to present today. And we very much
thank you for giving us the opportunity to get this message out on all the good work, because when I look at all the participants that are on this screen right now, these type of events and permanency for children couldn't happen with the support of everybody that's here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Lennan. Our next speaker is our next guest is Attorney Carmen Ramirez, who is somewhere on my screen. Ms. Ramirez, are you there?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Great. Okay, I found you. Now, Ms. Ramirez has a lot of experience in representing parents and children. I won't say how long because she might get upset with that, but she has represented some of our most medically needy children and older children in the system. And she's going to share some perspective on their need for forever homes. So Ms. Ramirez, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the judge said, I've been doing this for a long time. I love what I do because I deal with families and children, and especially days like this when, you know, we have our happy ending where these kids get to go to their forever home. This is really like one of our best days. You know, whenever we have adoptions, that's like the happy thing that we do. I know as an attorney, I'm always happy when colleagues say, you know, I have an adoption today. And that's like a great thing in our profession. I know the rest of my attorney colleagues here will agree with that. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about adoption. I know Mr. Lennan spoke a little bit about some of our youth and children that are up for adoption. A lot of times, you know, families think, oh, I want to adopt a baby or a younger child. And I'm here to talk to you about all those other kids that come into care maybe when they're older or have just unfortunately been in the system for quite some time. And as Mr. Lennan said, you know, we're here to find a perfect match. There's no such thing as a perfect child. In our eyes, all our kids are perfect. You know, they're kids that have disabilities that are up for adoption, that are great kids that would be, you know, wonderful in anyone's home. I know I've had several cases with my kids with disabilities that have been adopted, and you know, it's just a wonderful experience. So I'd ask everyone here to consider that. Also, our older youth, you know, we have a lot of teenagers, a lot of kids that come into the system later. Those are also kids that should be considered and are wonderful kids that I think, you know, are great candidates to be considered for adoption. Those are pretty much, I don't know, Mr. Lennan didn't give us statistics as to how many of those 3,000 kids, you know, their ages. I know Judge Villalon had given us a statistic when we spoke privately before this meeting, and there's like around, I believe he said around 50 youth that are up for adoption over the age of 14. So those are kids that I want you all to consider and kind of spread the word. I know I can, you know, I always talk about that part, that segment of the youth that's up for adoption. Adoption is a wonderful thing at whatever age. Kids are great at whatever age. I know I have a teenager right now. Sometimes it's tough, but you know, it's a wonderful experience. So, hi, I don't know who that boss child is, but you're getting adopted today, and that's a wonderful thing. I know one of my kids, David Cruz, is up for adoption today, and that's why I'm here. And he's been in the system for quite some time. You know, he had a complex case, but today is the day that we get to celebrate his adoption. So without further ado, I'll pass it to, I believe Mrs. Countryman is next, and that's one of the adoptive parents that I was blessed to have adopt one of my kids. So I'll pass it on to Judge Villalon or Mrs. Countryman, whoever is next. Thank you, guys. Please consider all children, older kids, LGBTQ youth. Everyone is a great candidate for adoption.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And thank you for everything that you're doing for our families and children. We are going to go to our next speaker, which would be Karen Countryman, and I believe I see her on the screen here. And I've known Ms. Countryman for quite a while now. I want to say probably about 7 years now as a CASA advocate, as a foster parent, and of course as an adoptive parent. And so I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and talk about your experience. Thank you.
Thank you. First thing, of course, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I did write things down, so I'm going to be looking at my paper because I was a little nervous. So we'll do that. But our foster to adopt story was actually years in the making. About a year after we moved to Texas, that would have been in like 2004. Our youngest was 3, and we had the conversation about fostering. My husband and I thought it would be a good fit for us and companionship for our littlest one. She has siblings, but they're 12, 14, and 19 years older than she is. We went to an agency and they scared us off. So we felt at the time that it was our daughter was a bit too young to pursue. So when she was about 7, the subject came up again, and we went to the same agency because at that time I had no idea there was more than one, and they scared us off. So fast forward about 7 years, Emily was then 14, and just a random post came up on Facebook about an informational meeting at CPS for foster parents. So I said to my husband, oh, remember we were going to do that, and he agreed. So we made arrangements to go to the meeting, and at that meeting I discovered there was more than one agency. So that was my first big epiphany. I made an appointment with the first agency I spoke with, and although they did not scare us off, they were very slow and we were highly motivated to get going. So again, conversation ensued, and I told Royce, my husband, he's here next to me, let's be a little bit smarter about this. Let's go to a couple of different agencies. So we did. We spoke with 2 very good agencies, and the decision was difficult then at that point because they were both very good. But we decided to go with our current agency, and they guided us through the process. And a few months later, we were licensed to foster. So we were actually only licensed to foster. We were new to the process. We were new to the need. So we weren't really thinking along the lines of adoption. Until on the 7th of June in 2017, 2 little boys were placed with us. They were 6 and 7 at the time. We fostered them and others, added them to our family. They were with us for over a year before it became apparent that they could not safely return home. When they were told, they were the ones who actually made the leap. Our youngest said, well, okay, so if I can't go home with my mom, I'll just stay here. We had already expressed our desire to adopt them, not to them, but to our agency. We did not want them to leave, and they did not want to leave. So we worked with our agency and became licensed for foster to adopt. Parental rights were terminated in December of 2018, and we came before Judge Villalon on June 9th, 2019, and added 2 boys to our family. During the process, everything is kind of up in the air. You're always worried about that something will happen to cause the adoption to not go through. And I know I watched the boys go through that as well. There was a level of nervousness or unsettledness in them. So I remember immediately after the adoption, like we're still in the courtroom, and as soon as it was final, it was like the boys just took a deep breath and let it out, and they had permanency finally, and they were immediately settled in that. So the thing about adoption is this: for us adults, we see all the legal stuff, we worry about lawyers and adoption dates, adoption parties and pictures. We tell everyone that we, the Countrymans, are adopting. But for the kids, the new permanency and finalization of the bumpy ride that they had had up to this point, they see it as they were adopting us as well. So that goes both ways. Thank you for letting me speak today.
Ms. Countryman, do you mind if I share a photo of that day?
Oh, absolutely.
There we go. And so there is the Countryman family for everybody to view. Hopefully you can see that and I didn't mess that up. So yeah, it was a wonderful day for the family. And of course, Karen, I can't thank you enough for being here to present and to share your experience with everybody. And of course, everything that you've done for these children. Thank you so much. There we go. Okay, I didn't mess that up. All right. And so again, Karen, thank you very much for presenting today. And we're going to go to our last speaker, and that would be Ms. Gabriela Arrellano, who has her own adoption story to tell us. And in fact, has dedicated essentially her life's work to adoptions. And so I know she's on there she is, I found her. And so Ms. Arrellano, it is your floor.
Hello, everyone, and I am so appreciative of the invitation. Judge, I am happy that you thought of us. My story is a little different. I was an adoption worker working in an agency, and I was introduced to adoption, and I just fell in love with that, with this field. I met a little boy who was 12 years old and 1 month shy of being adopted. The family decided that they no longer wanted to adopt him. So it was heartbreaking for me to share that with him. And I had 3 boys of my own, and I just identified with him like he felt like my kiddo. And I hurt just as much as he was hurting. We presented that idea at home, like, hey, maybe we can bring him home to us. And we were serious about it. CPS told us that we needed to wait until he grieved that, that disruption. And we just were patient. Later on, I was working with another agency, and he was in one of my foster homes. I was having a hard time. He was kind of giving up on life. And so I asked him, I said, would you want to be adopted? And he's like, I'm no longer adoptable. And that broke me to hear that. But I told him, well, you know what? There is somebody out there that wants to adopt you. And he was like, really? And he's like, who would want me? I'm like, somebody does. And he goes, well, let me think about it. And he did. He thought about it over the weekend. I went back and visited him again. And I said, so did you think about it? And he said, yeah. He's like, I'm going to give it one last shot. And he goes, well, so who is it? And I said, you're looking at her right here. I said, do you want me to be your mom? And he said, really? And I said, yeah. And he said, yes. And so after being in foster care for 5,475 days, my son was adopted at the age of 17 years old, 7 months away from turning 18. He is now 22 years old. He has a job. He has his own apartment. He has a mom and a dad who we guide him, we support him, we encourage him, we pick him up when he's down, but most importantly, we love him unconditionally. And I'm here to tell you that every child deserves a family, no matter their age, their story, their trauma, they all need a parent. And because of my story with him and how much this impacted our family, my sister later adopted. We embraced adoption in our family, and we decided to open up Matching Hearts adoption agency. And our goal is to educate the public about adoption through DFPS. We want to match a family with children who would otherwise linger in care and give up hope. We believe everyone knows someone who wants to adopt, and our job is to get those families and facilitate their journey to adoption. We want every child legally free to know that they have an army of people trying very hard to match them with their families sooner rather than later. So that's my story on adoption.
Soriano, would you mind if I share a photo of that day?
No, go ahead.
Can everybody see that? This was a few years ago in the 398th District Court. And that tall guy that you see on the very far left is the young man that we're speaking of. And so unforgettable event, packed courtroom that day, and not a dry eye in the room. So it's tears of joy. And so, Ms. Arrellano, thank you very much for sharing with us today and everything that you've done and are doing for foster children.
Thank you, Judge.
And so you heard today about how you can adopt. You heard about the urgent need for adoptive placements for all of our eligible children and how it can change their lives and yours. Okay. And so I hope that many of you out there will consider the idea of providing a forever home for our eligible children. And now it's time to change the lives for two of our families. And so we're going to go ahead at this time and call our adoption dockets. Before I call the cases, I do want to thank the Honorable Israel Ramon Jr., presiding judge of the 430th District Court, for allowing me the privilege of hearing the adoptions for these families. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and call the first case on our docket, and it's actually going to be the adoption case and our child welfare case. And so the court is going to call, excuse me, while I get back to the screen that's correct here. Court is going to call A-004720-JCW and also CW 013814J. And I'm sorry, I'm having to go through several screens to get to the point where I can see what's going on here. And so on the adoption proceeding, I believe that would be Attorney Abel Hinojosa. Is that correct?
Yeah, Abel Hinojosa, present and ready, Your Honor.
Very good. And do you have the petitioners?
I see them on the screen, Judge. The Schrader family, Lisa Schrader, and of course James Schrader, Judge.
And so we have Lisa and James Schrader. Are you on? And you can take it off of mute so that we know that we're not having any connection issues.
There they are.
Yes, Your Honor, we're here.
They're here. And on our CW case, let me go ahead and just take announcements on that one.
Your Honor, if I may, Carmen Ramirez, I'm the guardian on the adoption.
And Ms. Ramirez is the guardian on the adoption. And who's the department representative that will be here for the adoption?
Your Honor, Joe Garcia, Alexandra Hernandez, and I believe Mario Hasso or Sonia Garcia.
Sonia Garcia would be the adoptive case worker. Very good. And so I think everybody's ready to do this. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to call the adoption case first. And I'm going to have to organize my screen so that I can see everybody because we got a lot of folks on the screen. So again, for those who are not participating in the hearings, please go ahead and leave your microphone on mute so that we don't pick up any background noise. And Mr. Hinojosa, you've announced ready and you may proceed.
Thank you. Judge, of course, we want to take, for the court, take judicial notice of all the documents on CW 0138-14-J, especially the termination orders that are on the biological parents, Judge. We all know that the biological parents' rights have been terminated under that cause number. I do want the court to take notice of everything under that cause number, Judge.
Court will take judicial notice of all of the filings, including its order of termination of parental rights in CW 013814J.
Thank you, Judge. And I basically would like to call Ms. Sonia Garcia first, Your Honor.
Sonia Garcia, are you on my screen?
Yes,
there you are. I see you raising your hand. I'm moving you up to the top of my screen so I can see a little better. And I'm actually going to go ahead and swear you in at this time. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hinojosa, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Garcia, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, you are the basically the caseworker, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you are basically, you represent the department. Of course, right now, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services is the managing concern of the child. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the department is basically advocating this adoption. Am I correct?
You're correct.
All necessary documents basically prepared by the department have been on file. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And right now, it is your position that once we proceed further in this case, that your position of the adoption between the child, between David and the Schraders be granted. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right now, there's no impediment or anything to prevent this adoption to go through today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All necessary documents, paperwork have been filed on the department's behalf. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Judge, I have no further questions from Ms. Garcia, Judge.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Garcia, for your testimony. Mr. Hinojosa, your next witness?
My next witness, of course, is going to be the Schraders, Judge. I'm going to ask for Miss Lisa Schrader, Your Honor.
Ms. Schrader, I know that you're on the video. We'll need y'all to take it off of mute. And we're going to have you raise your right hand. What we're going to do is, I think
Judge,
there's,
we can do Lisa and James Schrader at the same time, swear them both in at the same time.
yes, that's absolutely okay. However, it sounds like that there are two video feeds that are occurring and two audio feeds in the same room, which will cause feedback and echo, unfortunately, on Zoom. So we'll need one of those audio sources to be turned off so that we don't pick that up. And so let's see if we can get that fixed on their end so we can hear them or we won't be able to hear them. So Mr. and Mrs. Schrader, can you take it off of mute so we can see if we can fix that for you?
You there?
Okay, we're here and we can hear you clearly now. So Ms. Schrader, I think you've had your right hand up the whole time. I'm going to go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
I gave you the short version because I know your hands are full. So Mr. Hinojosa, you may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Schrader, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Schrader, and of course your name is Lisa Schrader, am I correct?
Yes.
And the petitioner also is James Schrader, your husband is also a petitioner for this adoption, am I correct?
Yes.
And then David, the child is David Alvarez Cruz, is that correct?
Yes.
And David's date of birth is July 7, 2014, am I correct?
Yes.
And David has been living with you for how long, Ms. Schrader?
Since he was 7 months, 6 years,
And so right now, how old is David?
6.5.
And you and your husband are wanting this adoption to happen today, am I correct?
Absolutely.
And basically, you understand with this adoption, you and Mr. Schrader will be basically, if it's granted, will be David's mother and father. You understand that?
Yes.
With all responsibilities for David. You understand that?
Yes.
And of course, in your opinion, if you have David all this time, you believe it's the best interest for David. You and your husband adopt David, correct?
Yes.
And my understanding is that you are asking David's name to be changed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that David Alvarez Cruz name is to be changed to David James Cruz Schrader. Am I correct?
You're correct.
And you believe this is in David's best interest?
Yes, he picked his own name.
And Ms. Schrader, I have no further questions for you. I'm going to basically now ask Mr. James Schrader basically the same questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Schrader, I'm gonna swear you in at this point in time. And I can see you on the video. If you would please raise your right hand. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Hinojosa, you may proceed.
Mr. Schrader, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, you heard the question I asked your wife, and again, I'm going to ask you the same questions. And you were asking the court to approve this adoption, is that correct?
Yes.
You believe this is the best interest for David Alvarez Cruz, am I correct?
Yes.
And again, you understand, once this adoption is granted, you are basically, as you have been for all these years, but officially and legally, you will be David's father. You understand that?
Yes.
And you're asking, of course, we agree that the changed name of David will be David James Cruz Schrader. Is that correct?
Correct.
And again, you're asking the court to grant this adoption.
Yes.
Do you believe it is the best interest of David?
Yes.
Judge, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Very good. Mr. Hinojosa, do you have any other witnesses?
Judge, I'd like to hear from Ms. Ramirez and her opinion on this matter.
Okay, Ms. Ramirez, I see you on the screen. Let me go ahead and swear you in as a guardian ad litem on this case. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
I do.
All right. And so, Mr. Hinojosa, well, I guess I know the question he's going to ask you. Of course, you've been the guardian ad litem on this case for quite some time, correct?
Since the inception, Judge, for 6 years.
And so you've had an opportunity to review all the documents that have been filed with this court?
Yes, Your Honor, I have.
You get to know this child and the family?
Yes,
You have an opinion as to what's in the best interest of this child?
I do.
And what would that be?
Your Honor, at this time, I am happy to recommend to the court that the court grant this adoption. I know the child and the Schraders have been waiting a long time for this. He's a happy child in that home, and I believe it's in his best interest to be adopted.
Very good. Mr. Hinojosa, I took your witness for you. Do you have any questions, Ms. Ramirez?
None, Judge, you covered it. No problem at all.
Okay. Any other witnesses?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. And so the court has taken judicial notice of all the documents in the child welfare case under CW 013814J, and is taking judicial notice of all the documents under adoption petition A004720J CW. The court is going to go ahead and make the following findings. The court is going to find that venue and jurisdiction is proper before the 430th District Court, for which this court is hearing the case today. Is going to find that both Ms. Lisa Schrader and James Schrader came before the court today requesting that their petition for adoption be granted, along with Sonia Garcia with the Department of Family Protective Services and Carmen Ramirez, a guardian ad litem in this case. Court is going to additionally find that the child before the court is known at this time as David Alvarez Cruz, a child born on July 7th, 2014, and has resided with the Schraders for more than 6 months. We're going to find that the necessary documents have been filed with the court, including the statement on the interstate compact on placement of children, that this child does not possess, own or possess any property, that the Department of Family and Protective Services has consented to the adoption, that the adoption evaluation is on file, as well as the children's history report and the relevant criminal background searches. The court is also going to go ahead and grant at this time the name change so that the child is now known as David James Cruz Schrader, and is going to, I believe, there is going to be an oral request for a sealing of the records. Is that correct, Mr. Hinojosa?
That is correct, Judge, and I'll put that in the order, Your Honor.
And so with all of that, the court is going to find that it's in the best interest of the child, David James Cruz Schrader, that the adoption be granted. Congratulations, Mr. and Mr. Schrader and David. And you can take it off of mute and you can give them some applause.
Yay! Yay!
And so, as Ms. Ramirez stated, this is a long time coming for this family. And so I do want to give the Schraders an opportunity to address the court, to address the folks out there if they wish to do so. Do y'all want to say something? And Ms. Schrader and Mr. Schrader, is there anything that you'd like to tell everybody out there?
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's terrific that we had the opportunity for David to enter our life, and he's been such a great blessing for us, and he just helped us along the way throughout the whole process, and we're delighted to have him here with us.
We're excited that he's our forever son, and we love him so much.
Well, we are
You want to say something, David?
Yeah, David.
You gotta stand up. There you go.
Show your judge your chair.
Wow.
You gonna stand up?
Yeah. I'm standing up, Judge.
You look great. You look great.
You're awesome.
Most
Yay.
Stand up.
definitely awesome. That's
My belly's
smile
showing up
precious.
on my belly. Oh. Up there. Came out of my mouth. It's up here.
Come here, Jay.
Tell them all, thank you, David.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, David. And we hope that all of you, we wish you all the best. And can't thank the Schraders enough for giving this child a forever home. This is what adoptions are all about. So thank you so much. Ms. Ramirez, did you want to add anything?
Bye-bye. Hello.
I'm just happy for them. I know it's been a long road.
I'm stuck.
Yes.
It's been a long road.
In fact, I'll tell you how long that it's been for this family. It's been 2,312 days for this family. That's 6 years, 3 months, and 27 days. So I'm glad that we finally got this done for them, and that we have consummated this forever home. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And so we are going to go ahead and we are going to call our next case. If I can figure out how to do that now, I'm lost on my own screen. Okay, let me go ahead and call.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, Judge, but I just want to know if we're calling the CW case to draw,
You are correct. And I forgot one portion getting lost in the screens here. With, several, and so the court, do I hear a motion on the child welfare case?
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of the department, we would ask that CW 013814J be dismissed, Judge.
And of course, based on the adoption proceeding, which has just occurred and been granted, the court is going to go ahead and dismiss the child welfare case. Thank you all very much for your hard work.
Thank you, Judge.
Making this happen for this family. I haven't covered it because of all the excitement here, all the relief that has been requested under the A clause under A 004720J CW is granted, and the record will be sealed at this time. Thank you all so much. We are going to go ahead and call the next case on the docket. This would be A-007420J CW. Let's go ahead and mute the background again here because we are getting some background noise. There we go. All right, we got it under control. And so A007420J CW and CW 010618J. That would be Mr. Odabashian for the petitioners in this case. Let's see, we lost, do we still have Mr. Odabashian on? There he is. He's on my front page here, but he's muted.
There it is. Okay.
We got to get you off.
Yes, we're ready. Ronaldo and Manuela Perez are present with Jose. We're ready to go, Judge.
Very good. You also have Sonia Garcia here as well with the department. And Victoria Guerra's guardian ad litem, correct? And I see Ms. Guerra on my screen.
That's correct, Your Honor. President ready.
Very good. And then on the CW case, who's present for the child welfare case?
Joe Garcia, Sonia Garcia, and Alexandra Hernandez, Your Honor.
I believe we also have the, hold on one second. Do we have the attorney for the child present? Ms. Williamson, are you here? Okay, Ms. Getter will be covering for Ms. Williamson. And so I believe we're ready to go ahead and go forward. So let me go ahead and get the proper paperwork in front of me. And Mr. Odebashian, you're going to have Mr. and Mrs. Paz testify today?
Sonia Garcia.
And Sonia Garcia. And so I see Mr. and Mrs. Paz on my screen. You can go ahead and take it off of mute.
Hello.
Hello, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Super excited. This is awesome. I'm gonna have all of you raise your right hands there. I'm gonna swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, very good. You can go ahead and lower your hands. And then Ms. Garcia, I lost you. You shifted on my screen somewhere. Where are you? So, okay, you're at the top of my screen. So let me go ahead and swear you in once again for this proceeding. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Guerra, I'm having to do this individually because of the way things are. So Ms. Guerra, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Very good. We've got everybody sworn in, Mr. Odebashian. The court is taking judicial notice of all the documents in the court's file, and you may proceed.
First, I just want to thank you for the expanded day today, and what you've done. We haven't had. I can't think of anything like this before, and of course we didn't have Zoom, but even in the courtroom. So I thank you for that. I just would like to call Sonia Garcia.
Okay, Ms. Garcia.
Yes.
Mr. Odebashian, you may proceed, sir.
Okay, Ms. Garcia, you are adoption worker with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And one of your cases is the case that we have before us, which concerns Jose Rodolfo Villanueva. Is that right?
That is correct.
The parties seeking to adopt are Reynaldo Paz Jr. and Manuela Alejandra Paz. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that the Paz couple is not related to the child, are they?
No, they're not related.
Okay. Is it also correct that the 430th is the court of continuing exclusive jurisdiction by virtue of cause number CW 010618J? Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is it also correct that in that cause, the parent child of the natural biological parents of Jose were terminated? Is that right?
That is correct.
Is it correct also that that Jose Rodolfo Villanueva was born August 5th, 2011 in Hidalgo County, Texas?
That is correct.
Now, you're the managing, you represent the Texas Department of Family Protective Services, and so you are the department is the managing conservator of this child. Is that right?
That is right.
Is it also correct that you have filed a waiver to citation and consent to, your department has consent to adoption?
That's correct.
And that it is the department's position that it is in Jose's best interest for the Paz family to adopt. Is that right?
That is correct.
Now, you provided an affidavit also, that is, your department has provided an affidavit stating that it has complied with the interstate compact concerning children. Is that right?
That is correct.
And no property is owned or possessed by Jose that is property of consequence. Is that right?
That is correct.
And there are no protective orders.
That's correct.
Now, Jose was placed in the Paz home on May 20th of 2020. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during the past 8 months or so, have you had opportunity to visit with the family and Jose in the home?
That is correct.
And what have you observed?
I have observed Jose very attached to the family. He's excited for the adoption. He's been doing really well there, and he's adjusted well as well.
And he is not a very inhibited child, is he?
No.
That's good. Okay, so you all have filed all required reports, the health, social, educational, genetic history, the adoption evaluation, the criminal history report. Is that correct? And the home study, is that right? Okay, I have nothing further of Ms. Garcia. a coin toss here. Mr. Paz.
Yes.
You and your wife, you're married to Manuela Alejandra Paz, is that right?
Yes.
And you and your wife are seeking the adoption of this child.
Correct.
Do you feel it's in the child's best interest that you and your wife adopt him today?
Yes, I do.
Or that the order be granted today? I suspect that you adopted him a few months ago. It's in your own hearts, is that right?
That'd be true, yes.
Tell me about your relationship with him.
It's been great. I mean, just getting to know Jose and just, I don't know, he's so, I don't know, lovable, and just, it's great that he's like, will be officially my son, but he's been my son for a while now.
That's wonderful. Are you asking that his name be changed to Jose Rodolfo Paz?
Yes.
And that is Rodolfo, Rodolfo. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And that the court seal the records of this proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further of Mr. Paz. Ms. Paz, how are you today?
Good. I cry a lot, so I'm emotional.
You heard the testimony of your husband. Is that your testimony as well?
Yes.
And would you tell me about your relationship with Jose?
We have a really good relationship. We try to teach him, to be a good person, to make good choices. And so he's been growing a lot, and it's been super awesome to see him grow as much as he has so far. So we're really proud of him.
Now, you've only had him since May the 20th. So would you tell the court how you feel about him?
We love him.
In a word, right?
Sweet. He's so sweet and silly. He loves to dance. He loves to sing. So
I won't stop.
Super sweet.
I won't stop singing.
I hope you never do stop singing. That's great. Well, okay, that's all I have to present, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll go to the guardian ad litem on this case then. Ms. Guerra, of course, you've had an opportunity to review everything that's been filed in this case and participate in the child welfare case. And so you know the history on this case, correct?
Your Honor, I do know the history. Until he was placed with his adopting parents, it was a sad history, Your Honor. But Jose persevered throughout it. And more importantly, this case is a living testament of what love and stability in a family can do for a child. That's the bottom line of what's necessary to be able to, grow up to be a contributing member of society and be a happy person. And this is a truly happy ending. So in my opinion, I believe this is definitely in the best interest of the child.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Guerra. The court's going to go ahead and make the following findings. Court's taking judicial notice of all the documents in the court's file. Court is, with regard to both families that have appeared today, have never seen them happier. And we'll note that for the record. Court will note that Mr. Reynaldo Paz Jr. and Manuela Alejandra Paz, petitioners in this case, appeared before the court with their attorney, James Odebastian. That the hearing was brought forth via Zoom, and the record for today is being taken by Keila Wilborn, our court reporter. Also appearing is Sonia Garcia with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Victoria Guerra, the guardian ad litem in this case. The court is going to find that venue and jurisdiction is proper before the 430th District Court, for which this court is seated today, and that all questions of fact and law were submitted to the court. The child before the court at this time is Jose Rodolfo Villanueva, a child born on August 5th, 2011. The court is going to find that Jose is eligible for adoption by way of a termination proceeding in our child welfare cause, specifically being CW010618J, that the child has resided with the petitioners for at least 6 months, and that the proper documentation is on file with the court that would include the adoption evaluation, the health, social, educational, and genetic history report, the criminal history record information, the department's statement on the interstate compact placement of children, and that the department consents to this adoption. The court is also going to go ahead and grant the relief requested with regard to a name change, so that this child is now known as Jose Rodolfo Paz. And we'll go ahead and follow the recommendation of the guardian ad litem in this case and find that it's in the best interest of Jose Rodolfo Paz that he be adopted by Reynaldo Paz Jr. and Manuela Alejandra Paz. Congratulations. You can take it off mute and then applause.
Yay! Yay! Love you guys.
Congratulations to the Paz family. Is there anything that you'd like to share with everybody today?
We want to say that we're very thankful for today, and really just everybody that's joined the Zoom call and supported us and helped us to make this day a reality. Just thank you guys. Thank our family, our friends, everybody involved in Jose's case and making this dream come true. Thank you.
Well, we can't thank you enough for providing a forever home for Jose. In addition to the folks that are on the screen, there's also 111 viewers at this time on YouTube Live. So this is the biggest adoption that we've ever done, and certainly a very joyful occasion. So we can't thank you enough for what you're doing for Jose. And of course, we wish you the very best. Do any of the attorneys, Ms. Guerra, is there anything else you'd like to add, or Mr. Odebashian?
No, Your Honor, it's just that
No.
as Carmen said in her remarks, this is a day every lawyer loves. It's a proceeding that we celebrate as we just get to really primarily observe the system working wonderfully for the children who so wonderfully get embraced by people who are selfless and kind and loving and generous. And so this is really every one of these is just celebration and Yahoo and lots of singing in one fashion or another.
Certainly a lot of singing and a lot of happiness here. And of course, the emotions are overwhelming. In fact, I'm almost forgetting that all the relief that Mr. Odebashian has requested for the petitioners is granted. So that's in addition to the adoption. So the record will be sealed, of course, and all the remainder of the relief that you've requested. I'm going to go ahead and call the CW case. And so let me call the child welfare. Well, I've already called it, but do I hear a motion on the child welfare case?
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of the department, we would ask that CW010618J be dismissed, Judge.
Okay. Based on, of course, the testimony that's been presented in the evidence in the adoption case and its granting, the court's going to go ahead and dismiss the child welfare case at this time. And so again, thank you everybody who worked on the child welfare case to make this happen for the Paz family, for Jose Rodolfo Paz. And I just can't thank you enough for making this day happen, because it can't happen without everybody's hard work. And so again, thank you very, very much. And so that concludes our adoptions for today. A very happy day. Some of you may have run out of Kleenex already. It's so happy, but those tears of joy. We don't see those often enough here. And so thank you very much for the opportunity. In closing, I want to go ahead and congratulate the Paz and the Schrader's family and thanking them for opening their homes and hearts to these wonderful children, awesome kiddos. I want to thank our guest speakers for opening up to our viewers about adoptions. Very powerful messages that they all had for our viewers today. I want to thank each and every community stakeholder out there that works with our children and families to keep them safe and work just as hard to try and get them back home or in their forever home. And that I can't thank you enough. I don't do it enough, but there's a lot of work going on in the background. And since this is a week of Thanksgiving, thank you, thank you, thank you. And a huge thank you to our adoption caseworkers who are doing everything they can to look for forever homes for eligible children. And there are quite a number of eligible children out there that are available for adoption. And lastly, I want to thank the public for joining us today and hope that you'll consider offering a child a forever home and granting them that wish that they've been waiting for. I wish you all the happiest and safest of the holiday seasons. Thank you very much. And that'll conclude our program. Take care, everybody.
So happy for you guys.
Yay. Congratulations to everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We love you.
We love you too.
Love you.
Love you.
You're the best, Judge.
You take care.
Bye, Jose. Have a good life.
Bye to Sonia.
Bye,
Bye,
Sonia.
Jose. Bye.
See you soon. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, Ruby, yeah, Jessica. Ashley.
Thank you.